Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to talk about what I want to see in the next Fortnite season, which will be Chapter 2, Season 2. If you do enjoy this video, please do remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and comment down below what you think of these changes and what you want to see most in Season 2. Before I talk about what I want to actually see, I want to quickly explain how Fortnite seasons typically are. There's usually a few changes at the start of the season, like map changes, some form of mobility or new item, and like the basis of the next season's storyline. And then that's usually it, and a majority of the changes from the season occur through weekly updates. Since this season that we're currently in has gone on for so long, many people are expecting a massive change at the start of the season, and I feel like that just won't be the case because of typically how Fortnite seasons have gone. It's usually a little bit of changes at the start, and then week to week, there's changes. So if you look at the game from the end of the season before to the end, like, so let's say end of season 4 to end of season 5, the game was like very different, you know? Whereas like end of season 4 to the start of season 5, it was a little bit different, but it wasn't that absurdly different game that you saw the game change to throughout the course of the season, if you get what I'm saying. So I wouldn't get your hopes up too much that we'll just get a drastically different game at the start of this season, because that usually just hasn't been how Fortnite has gone on. Try to be reasonable with your expectations. I feel like a lot of people will expect way too much and then hate on the game, even though it might be good, just because they didn't get as many changes as they thought they would, which will just cause other people to hate on it. I feel like that's where we are with the game right now. Everybody hates on Fortnite because everybody else hates on Fortnite, and they just do so to fit in. So now for what I want to see added. I don't think this will actually happen, but this is just, if I had full control over the game, this is what I would do. This is like what I would want most. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is going to be Siphon. Siphon is when you got material and shield for killing players. There was also a lower material cap and a faster material harvest rate. I think that lower material cap is actually a really big thing, because from streaming the game and talking to other people about the game, people don't seem to like how long fights go on. But that lower material cap would make it to where you have a max of 1,500 mats and the other guy has a max of 1,500 mats, instead of having a max of 3,000 where the person can just stall out forever, potentially. The extra HP leads to you not getting screwed over by third parties as much, kind of alleviates some of that early game RNG when you can't find shield. If you land and get a gun first and kill 2 people, you have full shield. You don't have to be screwed over because you fought and then just didn't happen to find shield. So I think Siphon is just undoubtedly a good thing. I think it fixes a majority of the problems that we've ever had in this game. And I think a lot of the problems or reasons why it was potentially taken away are pretty much gone now. I think the 3 main problems that happened and what led to Siphon being removed was that newer players or lesser skilled players were getting just stomped on all the time. People were annoyed with getting thirsted in squads and for some reason attributed that to Siphon when it's going to happen anyways. And then finally, people thought like lobbies were dying out too fast, and I feel like the first and the last thing, people getting stomped on by better players, and then the lobbies dying out too fast, both of those things are just kind of fixed by skill-based matchmaking. If you're a new player, odds are you aren't going to match against me or some other like very skilled player, or somebody who puts a lot of time into the game, so you don't have to worry about that as much. And the lobbies being dead is already a thing with skill-based matchmaking. My games are often 15 players or less for zone solos, so I just don't see those 2 arguments as that big of a deal. And then also, after Siphon was removed, we got the reboot van, which fixes the other issue I talked about people complaining about getting thirsted. If you get thirsted and your teammates clutch up and win the fight, then you can just get brought back by the reboot van. So I feel like all of those problems are just a non-factor at this point, or just how the game already is. The next thing I want to talk about is moving zones. I think moving zones were one of the best things they ever added to the game when they added them in Season 5, and I'm not sure why they were removed whatsoever. I think part of why they might have been removed was because lesser skilled players would just get destroyed late game, but once again, we have skill-based matchmaking, so that's just a non-factor at this point. Add moving zones back, it made late game the most fun part of Fortnite, whereas right now, with the zone just closing and typically going to a heal-off, late game is the least fun part of the game. It's just boring and usually waiting for people to make a play who aren't going to make a play unless the storm forces them to. Moving zones encourage you to make plays, and I feel like the better player won the games more often. The next change I would like to see is the block. I'm not really sure where on this map you could put the block. Maybe the center island, maybe in like the mountainous area in between Lazy Lake and Weeping Woods, somewhere around there. But I think the block was one of the best changes they ever made as well. It was If you guys are unaware, it was a location that people can make in creative, and then every week Epic would take another player-made location and then add it to the game. Like they would pick one of the best ones and then add it to the game. And we got some really cool spots from the block, and then it was also just something to look forward to every week in map changes, and I don't think it really required too much from Epic's part, you know? It's not like they had to make a new location every week. They just took a community-made location and then added it to the game. And we got some really cool blocks. We got some bad ones for sure. And that's just how it was. It was something cool to look forward to and try out every week. And then I think it also allowed for like really random locations to happen. One week it might be a farm, the next week it might be a military base, and then a town, and then some like area like Sunny Steps, and then like a beach house area. It was just constantly something different to look forward to every week, and good or bad, it was going to be different next week anyway. So I think the block coming back would definitely add a lot of excitement to the game and add more longevity to like the seasons, whereas this season you've seen a lot of people complaining about the lack of content. Something like the block would keep people more excited, I think, to play the game every week. Next thing I want to see added is quad crashers, or something similar to quad crashers. Like it can be a car or like a dune buggy type vehicle, but just something that like rotates like a quad crasher would. Doesn't have absurd weapons on it, isn't absurdly fast, you could shoot people off of it. But if you want to go to zone or travel to a new location, you can get on this and then go to the area. So that's what I want, a vehicle for travel on land that isn't like ridiculously OP. We don't need mechs, we don't need planes, we don't need a tank. Like we just need a car basically, which players can be shot off of. Something like the quad or the ATK, but something new that performs like those things, if you get what I'm saying. I think that's pretty simple. I feel like everyone would agree that mobility is a huge problem for this season, and hopefully Epic adds reasonable mobility instead of just seeing those complaints and adding absurd stuff like planes, mechs, slipstreams, things like that again, because I don't think that's what the game needs. The next thing I want to talk about is the weapon balance a bit, and I think from just immediately, RPGs need to be in supply drops only. That was one of the best changes they ever made as well. Notice most of the things I'm talking about in this video are just previous things I thought were good changes that they got rid of for like some unknown reason. So put RPGs in supply drops only, reduces rocket spam, adds a lot of value into RPGs. There's a risk and a reward there because if you go for that supply drop to get the RPG, odds are someone else on the map is going to be doing so as well, and you're going to have to fight for it. Everyone just won't have RPGs all the time like they do now. I also think RPGs could potentially consume 2 inventory slots like the bandage bazooka does. That might be a bit overkill with putting them in supply drops only as well, but I think these power weapons should be power weapons. You shouldn't just be like a no-brainer of taking them and then using them all the time. They should be like a special like occurrence, something that you might get a kill or two from, but I feel like as the game is right now, almost every kill in the game people get from RPGs or snipers. And that brings me to my next point, and that is going to be to vault the green sniper or just make it a hunting rifle that can upgrade to a bolt instead using the upgrade bench. Sniper spam is insane. Rocket spam is insane. Both of these things are power weapons, and they should be a special thing that you get to use, not like your main weapon. And if you play duos or squads at this point, even solos, there will just be most people in fights that are just holding angle with a snipe. I might be like mid-range fighting someone in solos, and instead of building at me and then us having a natural fight, they just stand still and try to hit snipes. They build and then like head glitch their builds and try to snipe at me. And they throw out a bullet every now and then. If it hits, they do 100 damage. If it doesn't, they just reload and shoot out another one until I eventually get to them. And having fights play out like this is incredibly frustrating. Duos or squads is the same thing. Might be one person in the team, one person in the duo, or maybe 2 people in like a squad that are actually playing Fortnite and building and fighting us, while the remaining players just stand still with snipes trying to hit 100 damage on people with a body shot. Like, it's just insane. I think snipers need to be nerfed or just vault the green one. I think sniper spam this season is insane because of how common the green sniper is. And like I said, you can make it a hunting rifle, and then if someone gets that and brings it to an upgrade bench, they can upgrade it into a sniper. I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to the snipers taking 2 inventory slots as well, but I feel like a lot of people wouldn't like that. But I just think sniper spam, rocket spam, nade spam, these things should be like complementary special weapons that you use, not how you get a majority of your kills. And I feel like a lot of people are in the spot where a majority of their kills come from these power weapons and not from like the normal AR, shotgun, SMG, the normal means of killing people. So that's what I want to see addressed with most with the weapon balance, is put the RPGs in supply drops only, vault the green sniper, and I feel like that fixes the problem, but you would have to see from there and then maybe do more changes depending on what happens from there. Another thing I would like to see is them to take more advantage of side grades. If you're unaware, they added side grading pretty late in the current season that we're in, And this is, you could take a normal AR, and then for 20 of each material, you can convert it into the heavy AR. I feel like they could do that with a lot of weapons. Obviously, they have to be careful not to just bring absurd things back into the game. Like the combat shotgun, for example, I don't think that should come back. But maybe you can bring a bolt to the machine and then make it into a hunting rifle for 20 of each, if that's a weapon you want to use. Maybe you can make a pistol into a deagle. Maybe you can make a shotgun into a heavy shotgun. I'm not sure if the heavy shotgun should come back, but I'd be interested to see how that does. The SMG can bring back the suppress sub. You can add a lot of weapons into the loot pool again, and these old weapons that players enjoy using without like ruining the RNG by having it as a side grade option. And 20 of each material is pretty cheap, and there's weapon benches at pretty much every POI. So it's like really easy to do this if you enjoy using one of those weapons. And it would just add more variety to the game without increasing RNG, because the more things you add to the game, the more RNG you also add to the game, the more random it is for you to get a certain thing. Whereas right now, RNG is pretty low because there aren't very many things in the game. The only thing that's really problematic with this season as far as RNG goes, I think, is shield. And I think the best way to fix that would be to maybe vault frags or take them out of chests, make them only available as floor loot, and then also take the fishing pole out of the chest loot pool and just put it in those barrels, because a majority of the locations where you would want to fish anyways, there's barrels nearby which are a guaranteed fishing pole spawn. And if you're unaware how chests work, you get a weapon, and then you also get like a special slot, which is made up of bandages, medkits, mini shields, big shields, fishing pole, frags, harpoon. So there's like 8 things that you could potentially get in that slot. And if you take fishing poles out of the chest loot and take frags out of the chest loot, I feel like you would reduce frag spam. And then you would also increase the likelihood of players getting shield. And you don't really change the game too much by doing that. You just kind of shift some things around. And I feel like shield RNG wouldn't be nearly as much of a problem. So those are my main changes that I want to see in the next season. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, what you want to see. Didn't really talk too much about map changes because I actually really like this map. And I don't really know what I would want to be changed. But let me know what spots you guys want to see changed in the comments below. If you did enjoy the video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and I'll see you guys in another video. Thanks for watching.